Australia? Let's talk about something most of us only think about when it's already too late. The floodwater is rising. The power has been out for 3 days. You've opened the fridge once too often, and now everything inside it is a biological experiment you didn't sign up for. You swing open the pantry, and what you find in there, or don't find, determines the next week of your life. And we've spent time on this channel exposing what supermarkets don't want you to know about the products on their shelves. The fake honey. The canned tuna that's more filler than fish. But today we're flipping the script. Because after every investigation, the same question lands in our comments. Just tell us what we can trust. So here it is. 16 groceries available right now at Coles and Woolworths that genuinely never expire. Not lasts a while. Not pretty good for a few years. We're talking shelf-stable for decades, some of them literally forever, when stored correctly. We've ranked these from useful to utterly legendary. Number 1 is a solid start, but number 16. That one has kept humans alive through wars, famines, and civilization collapses. Stick with us. And if this channel has ever put money back in your pocket or steered you away from something dodgy, subscribe right now. Turn on notifications. We're just getting started. Number 1, dry pasta. It's not glamorous. It's not going to win any nutritional awards. But dry pasta is the reliable mate who always shows up, and at $2 a kilo for San Remo at Coles or Woolworths, it's hard to argue with. Stored in a cool, dry cupboard, pasta will outlast its printed date by years. Seal it in an airtight glass jar, and you're looking at a decade of reliable carbohydrate energy. You're ready to cook in under 10 minutes with whatever else you've got on hand. The catch most people miss. Ditch the cardboard box. Cardboard breathes. It lets moisture in and pantry moths out, and pantry moths will find your pasta before you need it. Glass jar, rubber seal, dark shelf. Job done. Number 2, canned vegetables. Nobody stockpiles canned vegetables because they're exciting. Like they stockpile them because when the fresh produce aisle has been stripped bare after a weather event, and if you've ever lived through a cyclone warning or a flood cut-off, you know exactly how fast those shelves empty. A tin of diced tomatoes suddenly looks like the best thing in the world. Here's something worth knowing though. Not all canned vegetables are equal. The Coles home brand crushed tomatoes at 95 cents contains 60% actual tomatoes. The Mutti chopped tomatoes at $2.30 contain 99.8%. For an emergency situation, either feeds you. But if you're building a long-term pantry on a budget, understanding that gap helps you shop smarter. 5 to 10 years shelf life, solid fiber and vitamins, and the liquid in the can contributes to hydration when water access is limited. Quietly brilliant. Number 3, oats. Oats get dismissed as a breakfast item and completely underestimated as a stockpile food. That's a mistake. Sealed in airtight containers in a cool spot. And plain rolled oats last 30 years or more. Uncle Toby's traditional. Rolled oats and the Woolworths own brand both sit around $3 to $4 a kilogram and are nutritionally identical. Loaded with fiber, iron, and the kind of slow-burning complex carbohydrates that keep you genuinely full rather than spiking and crashing. The word plain is doing a lot of work in that sentence. The instant flavored sachets, individual serves, added sugars, and powdered milk already mixed in, degrade in a fraction of the time. You're also paying 3 to 4 times the price per gram for the convenience packaging. For stockpiling, that's dead money. Buy the big bag. Add your own honey when you need it. Number 4, baking soda. $2.50. That's what Mackenzie's baking soda costs at both major supermarkets. And for that $2.50, you are getting one of the most versatile items on this entire list. As a stable mineral compound, the baking soda will never become unsafe. Full stop. Its leavening power does fade gently after about 3 years, but a quick test tells you exactly where you stand. Drop a teaspoon into white vinegar. If it erupts, it's still working perfectly. But here's what the packaging quietly ignores. Baking soda is a legitimate natural cleaning agent, an odor absorber, an antacid for upset stomachs, and a suppressant for small grease fires. 5 uses. 1 product, $2.50. never expires. There is nothing on this list with a better value to utility ratio. Number 5. White vinegar. The Vinegar Institute, a real organization that really exists, officially states that vinegar carries a virtually indefinite shelf life. That's because its acetic acid content makes it biologically self-preserving. Nothing can grow in it. Nothing can break it down. Cornwell's white vinegar at around $2 a bottle is your pick. But here's the angle that never makes it onto the label. White vinegar is also one of the most effective natural multi-purpose cleaners available. Surfaces, insect bites, pickling, tenderizing, odor removal. When supply chains are disrupted and your usual cleaning products run out, white vinegar quietly covers the gap. 2 large bottles. Forget about them. They'll be there when everything else isn't. Number 6. Stock cubes small. Cheap. Completely overlooked. And possibly the most important morale item in any long-term pantry. Here's the reality of an extended emergency. You are going to eat the same 5 things over and over. Rice, lentils, oats, pasta, canned tomatoes. By day 4, the psychological weight of that repetition hits harder than hunger itself. A single continental stock cube dissolved into a pot of plain rice and lentils doesn't just add flavor, it transforms the meal into something your brain actually registers as food rather than fuel. They store for 5 to 10 years, weigh almost nothing, and take up less space than anything else on this list. Massel is a great Australian-made option at both Coles and Woolworths, free from MSG and artificial colours. This is the item most stockpile guides forget. Don't. And number 7. Salt. Calling salt. A pantry staple undersells it completely. Salt is one of the oldest and most powerful preservation technologies in human history, and it's a geological mineral that bacteria cannot survive in, cannot break down, and cannot contaminate. It does not expire. It cannot expire. The concept is chemically meaningless. Saxa and Olsen's sea salt are at both supermarkets from $1.50 to $4. But here's the distinction worth making. For serious long-term stockpiling, a reach for non-iodized salt. The iodine additive in standard table salt can degrade over very extended periods. It remains safe, but for a 20 to 30-year pantry, non-iodized is the cleaner, more stable choice. And try eating plain emergency rations without it for 3 days. You'll understand immediately why armies have carried salt since before recorded history. Number 8. White rice. One of the most important food sources in human history, and one of the most misrepresented products on the supermarket shelf when it comes to long-term storage. White rice sealed in airtight containers can genuinely last 30 years. Sun rice. Long grain. White rice is Australian grown and available at both Coles and Woolworths. Buy in bulk when it's on special and transfer into sealed glass jars at home. Now here's the marketing deception, hiding in plain sight. Brown rice is positioned as the superior, more nutritious choice, and for everyday meals, there's a reasonable case for it. But for stockpiling, brown rice retains its bran layer, which contains natural oils that go rancid within 6 to 12 months. The health marketing that makes brown rice look like the smarter purchase actively works against you in an emergency pantry context. White only. The label won't tell you that. We just did. Number 9. Powdered milk. Long life. UHT milk earns its place in any short to medium-term pantry. Those cartons on the regular shelf at Coles and Woolworths give you 6 to 9 months without refrigeration. No fridge required until opened. But for genuine long-term storage, powdered milk is where the real shelf life lives. Diploma full cream milk powder and Anchor. Milk powder, both at Coles and Woolworths, can last 20 years or more when stored correctly. Transfer into a sealed airtight container with an oxygen absorber after opening, and that shelf life extends dramatically beyond anything printed on the packaging. Coffee, baking, porridge, sauces. When the fridge is a memory and the fresh dairy has been gone for a week, powdered milk quietly covers everything you assumed you'd be missing. Number 10. Cooking oil and ghee. Here's a truth most stockpile lists skip entirely. Fat is not optional. Fat is how your body absorbs vitamins, generates energy, and keeps itself functioning under stress. A pantry full of dry carbohydrates and no fat source is a pantry that will eventually fail you. Standard olive oil and vegetable oil stay usable for 2 to 3 years in a cool, dark spot. But ghee is the real revelation here. Its extremely low moisture content gives it a shelf life significantly longer than conventional cooking oils. It handles high heat without breaking down, and most Aussies have never seriously considered it as a pantry staple. It's available at both Coles and Woolworths. Once you understand what it brings to a long-term stockpile, shelf stability, high heat tolerance, genuine nutritional value, it belongs in every serious pantry without question. Number 11. Instant coffee. Not critical for survival, absolutely critical for sanity. When the power has been out for 3 days and everything feels like it's closing in, a hot cup of coffee is disproportionately powerful. It sharpens focus, stabilizes mood, and subtly suppresses appetite, which matters when you're managing limited food supplies across an unknown number of days. Stored correctly, freeze-dried instant coffee lasts 20 years or more. Moccona is the quality pick at both supermarkets. International Roast covers budget stockpiling without compromise. This is freeze-dried instant only. Your ground coffee and whole beans contain natural oils that go rancid within months, not a long-term stockpile option. And if you think this item doesn't belong in an emergency preparedness list, you've never spent 4 days eating cold lentils without caffeine. Trust us. Number 12. Canned fish tuna, salmon, sardines, mackerel, shelf-stable for 5 to 10 years, ready to eat directly from the tin, high in protein and omega-3 fatty acids. No fridge. No stove required. No preparation whatsoever. But here's the investigation that matters before you start loading your trolley. We've analysed the canned tuna at Coles and Woolworths, and the gap between brands is extraordinary. Some home-brand flavoured varieties contain as little as 35% actual tuna. The rest is vegetable broth powder, stabilisers, thickeners, and cheap filler, sold at near identical prices to genuinely quality products. Serena sits at over 75% tuna with olive oil, water, and salt. That's it. Tarsafkal no-net tuna at Woolworths is pole and line caught and lands at a comparable price. When you're stockpiling for real nutritional value, you want protein, not a can of sodium-heavy filler that happens to smell like fish. The percentage of the hero ingredient is always printed on the label. Look for it. Number 13. Soy sauce and white sugar. Two products at opposite ends of the flavour spectrum, one intensely savoury, one purely sweet, and both essentially immortal when stored correctly. Unsoy sauce is one of humanity's oldest preservation techniques. Naturally fermented, high in salt, naturally acidic, it is its own preservative by design. An opened bottle of Kikkoman lasts 2 to 3 years in the pantry without issue. Sealed, indefinite. And Kikkoman's natural brewing process means far fewer additives than the artificially produced alternatives lined up beside it on the shelf. White sugar, when kept dry, yin also lasts forever because its molecular concentration creates an environment where bacteria cannot function. CSR and Bundaberg are both Australian grown at both supermarkets. Beyond sweetness, sugar is a centuries-old natural preservative for fruits and jams. In a prolonged emergency, it also matters for morale in ways that are genuinely hard to quantify until you've gone without it. Number 14. Raw honey. 3,000 years ago, Egyptian beekeepers sealed jars of honey inside royal tombs. Modern archaeologists cracked those jars open and found the honey still edible, still sweet, still chemically intact. That is one of the most remarkable facts in the entire history of food. Honey's combination of negligible moisture, natural hydrogen peroxide, and low pH creates an environment where microbial survival is biologically impossible. It is the most shelf-stable food substance on Earth, and it grows in a hive. At Coles and Woolworths, Capilano Australian raw honey and Beechworth honey are your picks. But here is the deception you need to know. Anything labelled honey blend on that shelf is not this product. Honey blends are diluted with glucose syrup, often cheap imported corn syrup, and carry none of the same preservation chemistry or indefinite shelf life. One ingredient: honey. If the label lists anything else, it goes back on the shelf. If it crystallizes over time, that's chemistry, not spoilage. So a minute in warm water brings it straight back. Number 15. Peanut butter. The undisputed champion of the stockpile. And the reason it sits at number 15, at the top of this entire list, isn't complicated. It is simply the most complete single food item available at any Coles or Woolworths in Australia right now. Calorie dense, protein rich, loaded with healthy fats, full of magnesium, vitamin E, and niacin. 2 tablespoons deliver close to 200 calories of ready energy with zero preparation, at zero refrigeration, and a shelf life of years when sealed. It pairs with almost everything on this list. Stir it into oats, mix it with powdered milk, spread it on crackers, fold it into rice with soy sauce for an emergency satay that will genuinely surprise you. But here's what the nutritional panel doesn't capture. In an extended emergency, real fear, real uncertainty, real physical and mental exhaustion, peanut butter is comfort food. It tastes like something from before everything went sideways, and that matters more than most survival guides are willing to admit. Calories keep your body going. Comfort keeps your mind together. You need both. Eat it straight from the jar at 2 a.m. if that's what you need. Absolutely no judgment. Number 16. Dried herbs and spices. And here is the one that changes how every single other item on this list tastes. You can stockpile 30 years' worth of white rice, pasta, lentils, and canned fish. And by week 2, the flavor fatigue alone will break your spirit in ways that hunger never quite manages. This is the insight that most survival guides miss entirely. The psychological sustainability of a long-term food stockpile depends almost entirely on your ability to make the same 5 ingredients taste different every single day. And that is exactly what dried herbs and spices deliver. Whole dried spices are safe to eat indefinitely. The science is simple. Low moisture means no microbial growth, no spoilage, no expiry that matters. Their flavor potency does fade gradually over 3 to 5 years as the volatile aromatic compounds slowly disperse, but stored correctly, they remain remarkably powerful far longer than their printed dates suggest. Here is the crucial distinction. Whole spices dramatically outlast pre-ground. The moment you grind a spice, you expose its surface area to oxygen and the flavor compounds begin escaping immediately. And buy whole peppercorns, cumin seeds, coriander seeds, cinnamon sticks, and cardamom pods, and grind only what you need. That single habit extends your spice stockpile's effective potency from months to years. Masterfoods covers the full range at both Coles and Woolworths. Build your stockpile around black peppercorns, cumin, smoked paprika, turmeric, chili flakes, cinnamon, and bay leaves for spices, and dried oregano, thyme, rosemary, basil, and parsley for herbs. Between those 15 items, you can cook every cuisine on earth from a pantry of dry staples. Because here's the truth that sits underneath this entire list. Surviving an emergency is one challenge. Actually living through it, eating meals that feel like meals, maintaining the daily ritual of cooking something that smells good and tastes like something, that is an entirely different challenge. And it's the one that determines how you come out the other side. Dried herbs and spices are not a luxury, when they are the difference between enduring an emergency and genuinely getting through one. Store them whole, keep them sealed, keep them dark, and when everything else feels like it's falling apart, a pot of rice that smells like cumin and cinnamon is a remarkably powerful reminder that things are going to be okay. That's 15 groceries from Coles and Woolworths that will genuinely never let you down when conditions do. But remember the bigger picture here. And good shelf-stable food exists everywhere. The problem is a system designed to make you doubt it. Best before dates stamped on salt, honey blends masquerading as raw honey, canned tuna padded with filler-charging premium tuna prices. Every unnecessary replacement purchase is profit extracted from your household budget under the cover of a printed date. Now you know what to look for. And once you can see the system, you can't unsee it. Drop a comment below. Which of these 15 are you starting with? And tell us what product category you want us to investigate next. We're building this channel one informed Aussie shopper at a time. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Read the back of the label. Stay informed, shop smarter, and we'll see you in the next one.